Musk also adding he thinks Tesla's autonomous driving technology will be safer than that of Alphabet-owned Waymo. Good day yesterday here on CNBC because Deirdre Bosa was able to catch up with Waymo's co-CEO and get her reaction to the interview. And here's Deirdre now as well. So they're going back and forth. Of course, right now Waymo is the only one on the actual road doing rides every day, Deirdre.
Right, with a fleet of about 1,500 cars. And really, these are two very, very different visions for the future of autonomy. You heard Musk lay out his vision. He's arguing that driverless cars should mimic humans. And like he said, the road was made for eyes and brains. He says not lasers. But Waymo's co-CEO, Deirdre she tells me that the vehicle needs to be better than humans. And that means sensors plus AI. Have a listen.
You have to be able to see at night. You have to be able to have this vision that's better than humans, right? Like what we're doing is we're replacing humans. We're not asking you to sit behind the wheel and take over the vehicle at a really vulnerable moment.
Right.
Instead, we're inviting you to sit in the back seat, relax and unwind, and get safely to your destination. That's a very different value proposition, but it's one that requires belts and suspenders, and that's the approach that we've taken.
Yeah, so that value proposition, it centers firmly around safety. They have a safety hub. They have a track record. And reaching 10 million autonomous trips, that is a milestone that reinforces their approach and goes beyond proof of concept. Remember, this is a business, 1,500 cars in the fleet, 250,000 paid rides per week. Mawakawa says that every additional trip at this scale, at this point, it is accelerating the rate at which the Waymo driver is learning. While Musk and Mawakawa disagree on how to build and deploy driverless tech, though, they do align on national regulation, guys. She said that essentially, they're also hoping for it. And she's actually optimistic that it can be done in this term.
When you're focused on safety, we think that should be at the federal level. And President Trump and Secretary Duffy have both been very supportive of that. I think there's a recognition right now, given how dynamic this space is, that now's the time to sort of make U.S. innovation a global leader in the autonomous vehicle space.
Like I said, she's optimistic that could be done in the next 3-4 years. And finally, guys, in terms of scaling a fleet in the years ahead, there's another big tension point between the two strategies. Yes, Tesla's vertically integrated. It owns the tech, the hardware, eventually the rideshare network. But Waymo is going to be rolling out lower cost fleets, and it is working with Toyota on personal ownership of the Waymo driver. So the next year or so in the robotaxi space is going to be very, very interesting to see how these strategies converge and diverge.
Yeah, and interesting on the price point, of course. I mean, a Waymo does cost a lot more, I believe, Deirdre, than does the Tesla with FSD right now, correct?
Well, it's commercial, right? So it depends on what you're looking at, right? If you're looking at Tesla FSD, it's a monthly subscription fee, which you could argue is more expensive if you're using it less than you are taking a Waymo rideshare. The question, I think, at this point is Waymo more expensive than Uber? And yes, but that cost, Mawakawa tells me, is going to come down. And, the cost of lighters are coming down. The cost of their vehicles are going to come down as well. So it's sort of more, where will we be a year from now?
Guys, this is super fascinating. And Deirdre, I just want to go back to Waymo specifically, because obviously Alphabet is such a big tech conglomerate. As Waymo starts to get more traction here and build out, and we enter this era we've been talking about for so many years of robotaxis becoming reality in a mainstream way, is there ever a possibility that we see it spun out of Alphabet?
I asked her that exactly. I said, could you operate, because it does feel like Waymo is underappreciated in this whole Alphabet conglomeration. Its last valuation was, I believe, around $45 billion, right? And that is a huge sort of different from what you see Tesla valued as a robotaxi company. She said that right now, they love being under the Alphabet umbrella. It gives them capital, it gives them access, it gives them technology. Who knows in the future? I think that there's analysts on Wall Street and investors who would like to see it spun off, but she didn't allude to any plans for that in any near future.
David, on the flip side, we see so many synergies between all of Elon Musk's companies, and I thought it was really fascinating. And I realized he maybe demurred in terms of the answer, but when you asked him about the possibility of XAI being absorbed into Tesla, too.
Yeah, I asked that in part because, as you know, Morgan, he's been talking about wanting to have a higher level of control at Tesla. That goes back to the dispute around his compensation to a certain extent, which, of course, he hasn't received since 2018 because he hasn't gotten all of those shares. And one way you could imagine, of course, is if they were to actually buy XAI, which he owns the bulk of, then he would get Tesla shares for that ownership, which would take him up. To your point, I don't think that is something that is currently on the table or being considered. And given the losses at XAI right now, how much they're spending, it wouldn't necessarily be something Tesla shareholders might be excited about. But we will be focused on that comp again for Mr. Musk as well. The Delaware Supreme Court is going to be ruling on the denial yet again by Chancellor McCormick. And so we'll see where that all ends up because he obviously wants to stay as CEO, but he also does want to conceivably get some sort of level of control that's above where he is right now. Carl.